Okay, stay with me here for a second. Cinnamon rolls, right? We know what they are, you love them, they're great. But there's a long forgotten, arguably better relative, and it's ultra sticky. You heard? Okay, so we're making sticky buns today. Like I said, very similar to a cinnamon roll, arguably better. It depends on, for me, it depends on what mood I'm in. And think about it, the holidays are here, you're chilling, you're kicking back, you're with your family. You know, you got some days off, might as well bake something dope. You know, I saw how many of you guys made my dinner rolls on Thanksgiving, which thank you so much for sending that to me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on there already, it's in the description, you know. And here we are with the dummy thicky stickies. We'll put that one on the apron.
I'm on a time crunch.
I'm sure they have something important. I'm sorry. This is where most people would be like, excuse me, ma'am, and I'd be like,
yes.
You might be wondering why we're here right now. First, shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I'm finally building my website after years of promising. That's what it took. Anyway, we'll talk about it at the end. With that said, let's do this, shall we? As with any other instant yeast recipe, we must first bloom our yeast. So, here we've got half a cup or 120 milliliters of lukewarm milk, which is around 98 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. Temping is always good, you know? To that, you're gonna add 2.5 teaspoons or 9 grams of instant dry yeast, give that a little mixy, and let it just hang out at room temp with the homies for about 10 minutes. Now, this will be the third time that I have professed my addiction to using a tangzhong, which is pre-gelatinized flour to make an incredibly lofty piece of bread. So, you're literally just gonna combine 1.5 tablespoons or 15 grams of all-purpose flour, 1.5 tablespoons or 20 mils of milk, and 1.5 tablespoons or 20 mils of water. Just whisk that together, place that over medium heat, and continuously stir it over that temperature until it thickens. You know, it looks like this, you know, thick with around 12 to 15 Cs. Next, in the bowl of a stand mixer, you're gonna combine 3 cups or 443 grams of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon or 2 grams of fine sea salt, 3 tablespoons or 44 grams of granulated sugar. Give that some whiskey business, you know, get that nice and incorporated. Now get your goddamn stand mixer all set up. Now, of course, if you don't want to use a stand mixer, you totally can do this by hand, but just be aware that it's gonna be much more difficult to incorporate the butter. So, I might have said that a little too fast. I've been producing a lot of TikTok content, and it's just got me talking in speedy TikTok mode, I guess. Anyway, you're gonna get your stand mixer set up with the dough hook attachment, set it to medium-low speed, and add your bloomed yeast mixture, plus 2.5 tablespoons or 55 grams of water. Then add your thickened flour mixture, aka tangzhong, and 2 whole room temperature eggs. I cannot emphasize this more. Room temperature, please, not chili boys. Just let them sit out for like 20 minutes as you're getting everything pulled together. Then just let that bad boy mix for about 6 minutes on medium-low speed till it starts to look nice and smooth and elastic. Now, if for some reason your dough's looking a little dry, you can always add a tablespoon of water just to keep it hydrated. Now, once you reach that point of smoothness, you're gonna add 3.5 tablespoons or 50 grams of unsalted butter that's been totally softened, about a tablespoon at a time. Don't toss it all in at once. It's just going to be horrific to mix that all together. So basically, toss a tablespoon in, let it incorporate, toss another tablespoon in, let it incorporate until all the butter is in it. Then let it mix for an additional 5 minutes. Then take your dough out of your stand mixer bowl, marvel at that smooth booty dough. I'm sorry. And gently shape it into a light ball. Lightly grease a medium-large bowl and plop your dough boy in there. Cover with plastic wrap or a damp towel and let it rise at room temperature for 1.5 hours or until thoroughly doubled. Before we move on to the next part, we're going to need to prep out our glaze. Very easy. In a small pan, combine half a cup or 115 grams of butter, half a cup or 115 grams of packed brown sugar, 3 tablespoons or 51 grams of honey, and then just place it on the stove over medium heat, stirring continuously until thoroughly combined. Make sure to continuously stir so the butter doesn't split. Then just place it to the side to cool down a little bit so it's not blazing hot when you add your buns. Okay, so we got our thick boy here. This part's easier than you think. First, give your dough a little love. Nice pat, nice little kiss, and then just punch that boy down right back into the ground where he came from. Then lightly flour a work surface, dump your dough out on it, cover your dough with a damp cloth and let it rest for 10 minutes. After it's nap time, lightly dust the surface of the dough as well as the underside one more time. Then using a rolling pin, you're going to roll your dough out into a 20-inch long rectangle, which will be about 1/4 inch thick. It should look something like this. Everybody tries to be perfect when you're doing this. Really, you know, don't overthink it. So once you've got your rectangle, you're going to brush the entire surface with 5 tablespoons or 70 grams of gently melted butter. Make sure that this stuff isn't blazing hot, otherwise you're going to kill the yeast. And yes, you are going to use all the butter. If you're like, oh my gosh, this seems like so much butter, well, good. You're then going to make your cinnamon sugar by combining half a cup or 125 grams of packed dark brown sugar, 2.5 teaspoons or 5 grams of ground cinnamon, a small pinch of ground allspice, and a small pinch of fresh ground nutmeg. Mix that together and then sprinkle it on top of your entire buttered surface, edge to edge. Just leave about 1/4 of an inch of a border or so around the dough. Once you've used all the sugar mixture, all the butter, then tightly roll up the dough from the bottom all the way to the top. Lightly seal the top if you can. Trim off about 1/2 inch on both sides. Bring the dough snack together a little bit, and then you're going to cut that dough with a nice serrated knife at 2-inch intervals to total out at 9 equal buns. Then in a greased 9x9-inch square baking pan, you're going to add your sticky caramel glaze in the bottom, then sprinkle in 1 1/4 cup or 140 grams of toasted crushed pecans. Yeah, I know it's weird, just trust me. Then arrange your dough equally spaced apart in rows of 3 in your pan on top of all that good stuff. Then cover that with a damp towel and let it rise at room temperature for 45 minutes to an hour or until doubled in size. Then place it in your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes. Or until the tops are beginning to brown and you can see that caramelized bit bubbling at the bottom. Okay, so this is my favorite part. Now look at those thick boys. They are just beautiful. Now, first let that sit at room temperature for about 5 to 7 minutes. And then once it's sat, make sure to loosen the buns off there so they don't stick. And then invert it onto a plate or a serving tray or whatever. Pull that off and then just watch the magic. It's just so beautiful. It should be nice and caramelized on the bottom. You just made the stickiest, dummiest, thickiest buns. I'm starting to sound like a modern day Dr. Seuss right now, bro. But do you want to know what else sounds like a modern day Dr. Seuss? B-roll. Guys, and that is it. So, sorry. Okay, I promised you guys I would talk about it at the end. So, I'm tired of you guys making fun of me because my Instagram bio has said website coming soon
For literal years.
So I teamed up with Squarespace to finally do the darn thing. Squarespace gives people a beautiful and powerful website builder. You know what, as a matter of fact, I'll give you a little sneak peek of the website. You can choose from tons of designers and award-winning templates. These are created with the typical browser and mobile apps in mind, so it makes their templates not only beautiful, but modern. You know, over half of my audience is mostly on their mobile phone, and each Squarespace website has its own built-in mobile website, perfect for browsing your website on, well, a phone. So if you go to squarespace.com/B-roll, that's right, you will get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. From me and Squarespace to you, we love you, we kiss you, many kisses, thank you. So sticky buns, we done made them. They were great, they're sticky, they're chewy, they're bread, almost brioche-like dough, just splits at the seams at the mere sight of your mouth. That does not sound good. It's the holiday season. I hope to see you guys making a lot of this, because this is really not that hard. It's a great step away from the whole cinnamon roll. Everybody's always making cinnamon rolls. From me to you, don't be scared. Aprons are coming soon. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the excitement. I appreciate you. So with all that said, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.